Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports and Gaming. Absolute apologies because on my screen it's still swirling, swirling, and swirling and swirling on YouTube, and I'm watching it on my side now, my mobile, and I'm seeing what's going on. So my apologies. I hope you all can hear me in the room pretty well as well. I would really appreciate if you could let me know if you can hear me or not. Oh, YouTube. Anyway, hope you all are well. I hope the lockdown isn't depressing you all too much. Some of you will be happy to know that Burger King are back open, are opening, and some of the Costas are opening up as well, and blah de blah de blah. So yeah, there's some movement. Anyway, in the boxing world, we have new news. There was a story I read that Andy Ruiz thought that Dillian White was bluffing him about 4 million. So Dillian White had to show him the contract or something like that. And so Dillian White sort of like made him look pretty silly. That's what I saw a little bit over Instagram. But this one here is funny. Now I want to start by saying this. A lot of you may not know this, but Anthony Bellew, Tony Bellew, Tony the Bomber Bellew, I've actually been a fan of. And I interviewed Tony Bellew live via Skype on BWTM Bayloric TV. I think it was just before he fought Adonis Stevenson actually, and he came on Skype and we did a wicked interview for about 45 minutes to an hour, right? And I gotta say, I can't say really a bad word about Tony Bellew at that point in time. I can't speak about the matchroom and onwards and when he became Mr. Hollywood and all the rest of it. I can't speak about that, but I can speak about that Tony Bellew, and I found him a very likable guy, quite an articulate young man, and that's what I remember of Tony Bellew in terms of my face-to-face and talking with Tony Bellew. Of course, we have to remember that boxing is a business, and people do play up and play to the crowd, and they have to have a selling point. And Tony Bellew, over the years, as you see, has transformed along the years. In fact, Tony Bellew, if you think about it, Tony Bellew, David Haye. Think about it. David Haye was well on the way to fight Anthony Joshua for the heavyweight championship of the world. He was well on the way. We were looking at it and thinking this was going to be a great fight. Tony Bellew pops up, right, randomly out of nowhere, and calls out David Haye and scuppers Haye's plans, and the Haymaker is no more. Although, however, somebody was asked a question the other day to David Haye, if you were to come back, who would you come back against? He said, I'd come back against the winner between Joshua and Tyson Fury, but it's not likely I would come back. Fair enough. But Tony Bellew, however, or Anthony Bellew, Anthony or Tony, leave me alone Bellew, has become Tony wants to make a fool of Andy Ruiz Bellew. It's changed. And you have to watch the trick here, boxing fans. Watch the trick. So we know that Dillian White is due to prepare to fight Povetkin. That was the fight. And Andy Ruiz, obviously, in his loss to Anthony Joshua, I suspect somewhere in the contract was that he would get a deal to fight over in the UK or fight on Matchroom, some sort of contractual deal that could be lucrative, I guess, in the event of him losing to Anthony Joshua. And I guess two of the guys, the heavyweights that fight at Matchroom, apart from, of course, Usyk, would be Dillian White. And then you look around, you've got Chisora, and then there's maybe good old Tony Bellew could make a comeback and fight. Tony Bellew could come back and make a fight. Good old Bellew. Now, to me, when you want to promote a fight or find out the temperature of a fight, and this is what they're doing, find the temperature, the same old trick every time, put it out there, put the idea out there in the fans' minds, put the seed out there, throw it out there over social media. I want to make a fool of Andy Ruiz and find out how much money it could generate. What's the possible? Is it worth me coming back to fight Andy Ruiz? Well, okay. Let's look this out logically, just for a second, yeah? Now, when Tony Bellew fought David Haye, me was one of the first man that said, listen, when Bellew fights Haye, Haye's going to smash him into tomorrow. I thought the fight would be over in a couple of rounds. Based on the David Haye that fought Enzo Macronelli. Based on the David Haye that fought, Mormek. Based on that David Haye, I thought, no, there's no chance. There's no chance that Tony Bellew's going to stand up to the big punching David Haye. Absolutely no chance. He's getting flattened by Adonis Stevenson. He'll get flattened by David Haye. Well, that's what you'd think. But of course, nobody knew about David Haye's legs. And he was fighting off one leg and all the rest of it. Bellew obviously knew that. And he knew about Haye in the rematch. So Haye couldn't get the leverage to land the big shots he liked to have landed to hurt Bellew significantly. So in 2 fights, Haye fought a shadow of himself. It still looks good in Bellew's CV, but everyone around the world recognises that wasn't vintage David Haye. It wasn't even half of the David Haye. Do you mean? So of course, people would say, but Bellew beat Haye. Yes, he did beat Haye. He beat a faded Haye. He basically beat a cripple. Let's put it right out there. He beat cripple. I'm not trying to disrespect the man, but when we put the facts together, that is nowhere near the David Haye. Nowhere near it. You could say, well, old age. Right? Oh, Roy Jones, it was old age that caught up with him. Maybe it was about that. And the late nights and the partying and the flamboyant lifestyle. Maybe so. But the injuries to those legs, when he couldn't get leverage to throw his big shots. Question is, I ask anybody in the world today, if David Haye, let's say vintage David Haye, the one that fought Enzo Macronelli that night, if that David Haye connected on Tony Bellew, would we still be talking about Tony Bellew today? That's a question I ask. But let's put that to one side for 1 second. So here's Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz now is the whooping boy. He's the guy that people think, you adjust your dance rings around here. Ruiz ate himself out of the heavyweight division. Blah, 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 blah. Wait. Stop. Ain't nobody building no stadium for Tony Bellew. Ain't nobody in the world building no stadium for Tony Bellew. Right? Yeah, let's get this straight. There's nobody building no stadium for Tony Bellew, and there's nobody invested in Tony Bellew in that much in Dubai that's gonna say, you know what, we're building a stadium for you to regain the heavyweight championship of the world. No, sir, not happening. And when that kind of money is being floated around, anything is possible. We know Andy Ruiz ate himself out in the end of the heavyweight division. He did a Riddick Bowe. But let me ask yourself this question. The night that Andy Ruiz destroyed Anthony Joshua, do you think Tony Bellew would have been jumping out of his box saying, yeah, I'll make a fool of him? No. He was nowhere near to be seen. At that point, he was Tony, leave me alone, Bellew. He was Tony, I just want to get home to my wife and kids, Bellew. That's what he was then. Suddenly, the rematch, Ruiz eats himself out of a division, and Bellew's jumping up from the rooftops of Everton, saying, I'm going to make a fool of Andy Ruiz. Really? All right, son. Now, let's work with the facts here. I know what I saw with Anthony Joshua in that rematch. And I know that the minute that Ruiz came anywhere close to Joshua, he was either clinching for life or he was running like Linford Christie around the ring. Literally around the ring, away from Andy Ruiz. Not engaging. Alright? I know the night that Tony Bellew fought Alexander Usyk, he was no cruiserweight. I know that much. He may have made the cruiserweight limit, but he was not a cruiserweight the night he fought Alexander Usyk. He was a bona fide heavyweight. I don't think he was much bigger the night he actually fought Haye, in my opinion. I don't think. I could be wrong there. But the fact of the matter is, Usyk knocked Tony Bellew out. And that's when Tony Bellew had nothing else to give. Okay, so you say Andy Ruiz is not Alexander Usyk. Fair point, fair point. But you forget the kind of hands that Andy Ruiz has. And we have Andy Ruiz who's out of shape fighting Anthony Joshua, and Joshua couldn't put him away. So Andy Ruiz in shape, unless Andy Ruiz comes in unmotivated and not in shape, then Tony Bellew may be able to box Ruiz. But if Ruiz comes in shape, good shape, I mean, and that's, you know, depending on who's looking at him, because there are people out in the boxing world that thinks a six-pack makes you in shape. Yeah, so the six-pack makes you look like you're in shape, but we all know, looking at David Haye when he fought Tony Bellew, he looked like a machine. But we all know, come the night, what happened. We know that Roy Jones looked great the night he fought Enzo Maccarinelli. He looked in great shape until Maccarinelli caught him. Roy Jones looked in great shape against Danny Green. But then we saw what happened. Okay, so we know that body beautiful doesn't mean that you gotta fight and win. All right, we know that already. So the point is this: Joshua didn't want to engage with Andy Ruiz, no way, shape, or form. And you look at the size of Joshua and the power that Joshua hits with, and he couldn't move Andy Ruiz. So I'm not sure where Tony Bellew's going with this. I'm going to make a fool of Andy Ruiz. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it. However, Joshua, Bellew recently did an insurance video talking about how he wanted to go home to the wife and kids and be safe. If I were Tony Bellew, if he wants to continue seeing the wife and kids and be safe, he would stay well clear of Andy Ruiz. Now he's dealing with a guy who's got 2 fists and 2 feet. Unless suddenly Andy Ruiz has a problem, Andy Ruiz has a problem with his feet or his hands, he needs to keep well away from, Tony Bellew needs to keep well away from Andy Ruiz. That's what I see. He needs to keep well away from Andy Ruiz. And even with Dillian White, fighting Andy Ruiz, that's a dangerous fight. Dillian White don't want to be nowhere near that fight. Nowhere near that fight. Because one left hook from Andy Ruiz, and you like to, and Dillian White's already been dropped in fights by Oscar Rivas and Joseph Parker. And none of those 2 guys punch like Ruiz. All right, so Ruiz, don't for 1 second think that Ruiz, because he got beat by Anthony Joshua, and I still think up to this day, a lot of money and a lot of whispers and a lot of corridors. And you all know what I said to you all about the individual I met on the train. He was damn sure that that title was coming back to England. So I couldn't believe it myself. I thought that Ruiz was going to do it all over again. But yeah. So what are your thoughts on it? Do you think that Tony Bellew should make a comeback at heavyweight? And if he does make a comeback at heavyweight, I don't care about him fighting Andy Ruiz. I care about him fighting the Gypsy King. Because if you remember, Tony Bellew was doing a lot of talking about the Gypsy King. About he could do this, and he could do that, and he could do this, and he could do that. He never came to any fruition. It all went pretty quiet. So, you know, I'd love to know why Tony, leave me alone, Bellew, Tony, I'm going to make a fool of Andy Ruiz Jr. says he can outbox. Remember he said he could outbox Tyson Fury. Remember he said that stuff. And he said he'd hit Tyson Fury on the chin and blah, 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 blah. And he also turned and said he had the boxing skills to deal with Deontay Wilder. Do you remember when Tony Bellew said that? Do you remember when Tony Bellew said that? I don't know. Tony Bellew seemed to rate his boxing skill really highly. Having said that, he was outboxing Alexander Usyk. Let's not forget that. Until he got caught. And he was just run out of steam. So, yeah, I know he's training with Reynosos now. But it don't matter who he's training with. I don't think his trainer is a bad trainer. Understand something. The trainer can guide the fighter as to what the fighter needs to do. But the trainer cannot run for the fighter. The trainer cannot put the work in for the fighter. The trainer cannot get the fighter motivated. The trainer cannot discipline the fighter. At the end of the day, ultimately, he could be training with Josie Joe Walcott, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, Jesus Christ, Muhammad and Buddha. It don't matter. If the guy's got an issue, the guy's got an issue. Stop lying to the fans, man. What are you talking about? What am I lying? Reverend says, why do you hate the LDBC so much, man? Oh dear. Oh, I know who you are. Sorry, not tonight, my friend. Good night. So, no, not at all. He's not a heavyweight. Enjoy the retirement, and that's that. Must be small talking and can't be serious. Well, listen, if he gets out in the public, then, if he gets out in the public, then there's a good chance. If he's out in the public, then that's for the public to digest and think about. If he's out in the public, then it's there for the public to digest. And just for the record, that person that came in trying to start trouble about the LDBC, let it be known that the man who started the LDBC, I've known him for many years, and I've got a lot of respect for that man and all those. I've been doing this over 10 years, so I know who's doing what. I don't need you coming and telling me X, Y, and Z. All right? Thank you and goodbye. I know who you are. Thank you and goodbye. I ain't got time for the energy. Ingram said that the prophets couldn't even motivate some guy. Jesus and Muhammad, man. Wow. It's true. But it's true. Hey, man, can you stop ducking me and debate me? You don't want the smoke. No, I don't. I don't want the smoke. Do you know what?
Here are some results from a search.
Yeah, I don't want the smoke. Do you reckon Bellew Ruiz would sell a lot? What would be the selling point? What would be the selling point? Bellew's retired. He beat a faded David Haye. He's a former cruiserweight, WBC cruiserweight champion of the world. He made a defense against. Did he make a defense against BJ Flores? I mean, what? How do you tie the two together? What's the selling point? What's the selling point? The former cruiserweight champion of the world, the guy that beat David Haye. What's the selling point? What is the selling point? He's daring to be great. What's the selling point? What is the selling point? Yeah, of course I'd watch the fight, but what is the selling point? What's the hook? Every fight's got a hook. You know, if you want to have a hook, then you've got a hook. Fury versus Bellew, that sells. Fury versus Bellew sells. Why does it sell? Because they're both British fighters. Why does it sell? Because there's a little history between Bellew and Fury. Why does it sell? Because they both like to talk. You know, before that, remember when Bellew was talking a lot about Dillian Whyte? He was talking a lot about Dillian Whyte and Dillian Whyte this and Dillian Whyte that and Dillian Whyte this and Dillian Whyte that. I saw something brushed under the carpet now as well. So Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury, two fights that we were talking about. It seems to me that it is I don't know. Hey man, new to the channel. Did you hear BFTB call you out the other day on his chat show? No, I didn't know anything about it, and no, I didn't. Sorry, and frankly, don't care. I don't do that. I don't respond to call outs. It's not. I don't get involved with that stuff. I never have. I haven't done it in 10 years. I'm not going to start doing it now. Certainly in lockdown, so I'm not going to do it. I have lots more better things to do in my life. No disrespect, but you know, it is what it is. Um, some history with Fury. At least Ruiz seems random. Why do these people come in my room to start talking nonsense? I mean, what is it? I mean, I don't care. I'm not interested. Really not interested, and don't care. Never have cared. Never will care. All right. So keep your debates, do your baits, and do your thing. That's not what I do. I've never done it. I'm not going to start now. Thank you. I was lying on Deontay's. Oh, Lord. You know this is a troll, right? Yeah, thank you very much. Just block these guys. David Hay was talking about a comeback. Chat, comeback. Just block these guys. Block these people in the room, please. Appreciate it. And we'll get their IP numbers later. Dilliam, see, the thing is, just a warning to you people out there, this channel is actually monitored by YouTube. So if you really do want to keep hassling the channel, we'll get your IP address later on. Dillian versus Bellew would be horrific. Like I said, enjoy your retirement, Tony. Look after you. So remember, Tony Bellew did talk about fighting Dillian Whyte. He did talking about Tyson Fury. Those two fights are far more marketable, and they both got hooks to them. Compared to the Andy Ruiz fight. I don't see the hook in it. I don't. Yeah, Tony Bellew's coming back. Sure. There was some murmuring that Carl Froch was coming back. There was a murmuring about it at some point. He was coming back, possibly to fight a light heavyweight. There was some murmurings about that. So I don't know how true that is, but there was some story about it. I know who it is. I know exactly who the person is. And I'll be making, once I finish this video, they will be getting blocked off the channel. I know exactly who the person is. So, Lions in the camp, maybe so. Shout out to my man, 78 Sports TV. Lots of love for that brother. He speaks his mind, he has an opinion, and that's his choice, as we all have an opinion. So, back to my point. Tony Bellew is a narcissist. He can't stay out of the limelight. He'll get dealt with by Ruiz. That's just what I'm saying. Ruiz, Fury, and Dillian Whyte. These are all three guys that have got no problems with their feet and their hands, and they'll let their hands go. I don't know what Bellew's going through with this. I don't know. Maybe somebody's blowing smoke up his ass. I don't know. I've got no idea as to why he would want to make a comeback. Here's a more disturbing story I heard. And this is very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. I heard a story that Michael Nunn, 55-year-old Michael Nunn, is going to make a comeback in kickboxing MMA. Michael Nunn. I spoke to Michael Nunn while he was actually in prison. I spoke to Michael Nunn. I was trying to chase him down to get an interview. Michael Nunn was one of my favourite fighters at middleweight. His super middleweight brand I didn't care too much for. But at middleweight, when he knocked out Sambu Colombe, that's when I first watched Michael Nunn knock out Sambu Colombe in one round. I tell you something, go back, and if you can get on YouTube, watch Michael Nunn versus Sambu Colombe. Nobody did that to Sambu Colombe, right? And Nunn hit him with I think it was a left hook, so hard, Colombe went flat and knocked him out flat. That was the day I fell in love with Michael. There's certain fights you watch, and automatically a fighter does something, and you think, that's going to be my fighter. And Michael Nunn, in those days, was my fighter. Loved Michael. Michael Nunn could do no wrong. Loved Michael Nunn. He doesn't get, Michael's second to none, he doesn't get as much credit as he deserves, mainly because of that James Toney fight. Because he was ahead, he was beating the crap out of James Toney, and then I think his trainer said to him, don't get caught, son, and he went out there and he got caught by James Toney, and the rest, to me, after what happened with James Toney, Michael Nunn was never the same fighter again. I think he was unbeaten in like 35, 36 fights. I used to watch Michael Nunn a lot fight on Grandstand. And midweek sports special with Nick Owen. That's for you in the UK. That was before the times where before we could actually get to see the fights live. And while I'm on that point, I want to talk about something else that came to my mind. I was going through my DVDs, and guess what I came across? I came across a great bunch of old DVDs, and they were all Oscar De La Hoya fights. So there was Oscar De La Hoya versus Ruiz, Oscar De La Hoya versus Molina, De La Hoya versus Chavez 1 and 2. So I'd send off for these videos. I don't know how these guys got these videos, these fights, but somehow they're able to get fights from abroad, from America, and get them posted. So I get them posted to me. I think they were boxing videos DVD or something like that. But I used to watch them all the time. I don't know anybody else in the room who used to do that. But I certainly ordered them. I thought it was amazing. So of course now we've got satellite and all this stuff now, so we don't really get to really appreciate that now so much. Okay, let's see. Let's go through. People are talking. Any desperate to revive his pay-per-view stars? Yeah, of course. You've got Kell Brook gone. Can't don't know if he's going to fight again. The problem is, and I've said this before, and I said this so many times, and people say I'm knocking Matchroom. They don't know how to look after fighters. They don't. They really don't. They destroy even their top fighters. They get destroyed. So check this out. They've got these new gen fighters that fight at the York Court Bethnal Green, or that new gen or whatever it is. So they're there and they fight a whole load of people that then they can get knock over. They'll fight a whole load of knockover jobs, right? And soft touches, and then suddenly they get put in a British or European fight and they get exposed. They get exposed rather than building the fighter up slowly and taking fights a step at a time. Look at this Akoli situation and Buatsi. Again, I keep saying it. You look at the last fight Buatsi was in, who was getting caught with all them overhand rights against a guy we knew nothing about. And if that guy could punch, we wouldn't be talking about Buatsi today. So it's not me being critical. It's just, well, it is me being critical, but with a critical boxing eye and say, look, this guy's got some issues here. He's got shortcomings. He was unable to deal with the overhand right. And that was a guy who wasn't even rated. Do you understand? So I look at things like that. I look at the Akoli fight, the last guy he fought. He was fighting scared. And I think the guy hurt Akoli as well. And we talk about him going to fight for world honours. So it's just things like that. I just think to myself, whoa, hold on a second. Are you actually learning your trade? Or are you being fast-tracked when you're not ready to be fast-tracked? It's not like these guys are Olympic gold medalists or world championship winners. It's not like, you look at Josh Taylor, that's a totally different situation altogether. Where he got kind of pushed a little quicker because he had the ability, and you saw him now, and look what he's done. His career has been well managed. Josh Taylor took the chances, but he was good enough, tough enough, good boxing ability, good solid boxing fundamentals, and didn't cut corners. That's why Josh Taylor is where he is today. But a lot of these guys here, I'm telling you, a lot of these guys get cushy. They knock over a few guys, get a few quid in the pocket. Oh, I'm the man. You know, I'll do a couple of interviews. I'm the man. And it's a deluded state. So you think, I just do enough. And then what happens is you get stuck in with a guy who actually starts throwing punches back at you, and you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. Because after time, you know, when you start getting punches thrown back at you in sparring, a lot of these trainers say, none of that. And they try and protect the golden goose. You see? And they get pushed into these tough fights. Anyway, that's me going off on a tangent. But let me go back here. What's your thoughts on John Fury fighting? I don't like it. I don't like to see it. I'm not interested in it. I think John Fury should remain a fighting man, and his fighting day should be over. I don't like it. I would like John Fury to remain the character that he is. I don't doubt his toughness. I don't doubt his fitness. I don't doubt he can fight. But let's keep it to him just talking that stuff and him be a character alongside Tyson Fury, right? Because, God forbid, a situation where it didn't turn out the way that John Fury wanted it to turn out. Could you imagine what that does with Tyson Fury's image? No, John, just keep away from it. So I don't like it. I don't like it. People will pay anything to see somebody have a scuffle. But let's just leave it as that. John Fury versus this or John Fury versus that. Let's laugh about it. Let's chuckle about it. Let's have a bit of a But let's not see John Fury fighting anybody. Really, no, don't want it. Don't want to see it. Kyle was a great fighter. That was crazy. He got KO'd in a round by none. None was a great boxer to watch. Loved it. I watched the Michael Moore interview yesterday. He said most fighters leave broke. That's why most come back. Yeah, yeah. Bad investments. Bad investments. People forget how good Oscar was. Yeah, Oscar was good. Oscar was my favorite fighter. And I remember a motto Oscar once said. He said, "If you're big, if you're bigger than if you're as you're bigger than me, I'm gonna be bigger than you." That's what he'd say. Is if you're stronger than me, I'm gonna be stronger than you. If you're faster than me, I'm gonna be faster than you. That's what Oscar would say. And up to the point he fought Trinidad, I didn't get it about Oscar. I didn't understand. I didn't understand it until he fought Trinidad. And when it was about the 11th round, because it was, I tell you, two of my favorite rounds ever in boxing is, I think it was round 4 or round 5. Oscar's out. Perfect, beautiful bit of boxing from Oscar, where he's on his toes and he's throwing 3, 4, 5 punch combinations and getting out of the way and making Trinidad look like a complete statue. And the punches coming out of Oscar's hands are like absolute music, like a machine gun. Love the way that was Oscar De La Hoya. That was one of the fighters I would look at and say, yeah, I want to fight just like him. Put 4 or 5 punch combination together and get out. Loved it. The way he was moving around the ring gracefully from side to side. The way he'd move when a punch would come, move his head away from it. Beautiful. Loved all that thing about Oscar. My favorite Oscar De La Hoya fight was his second fight against Chavez. Why? Because Chavez started putting it on him, and in I think it was round 7 or round 8, could have been. Don't quote me on it. But Oscar decided to have a fight with Chavez instead of boxing him, and he started go matching with him, and that's when Chavez was actually coming into the fight, and Chavez was getting the better of Oscar De La Hoya, and then he ended the round with a beautiful combination. It was an uppercut, I think it was a right uppercut, left hook, right hand combination, left hook, and the round goes, and Oscar like turns and looks at Chavez like thing, as to say, yeah, and he goes back to the corner, and Chavez goes back to the corner himself, jaw broken, blood pouring out his mouth. And that's what he did to legend in Chavez. Older, faded, yes, but still, Chavez had that great fight still left in him, and Oscar beat the fight out of him that night. So it was a great fight, and I always remembered it. So that's me going off on a tangent again. You're right about Hearn and Matchroom. They're great hype machines, but they have no idea in regards to matchmaking. They never had an idea about matchmaking. Why the hell would you stick Herbie Hyde in the ring with Riddick Bowe? Oh, why would you stick Herbie Hyde in the ring with Vitaly Klitschko? Oh boy. Rest of the stable is pretty weak. It always has been weak, but there we go. 147 is on fire, getting interesting in boxing again, and I like Ennis versus Hugas. By the way, Ennis, again, we were the first to get a big interview with Ennis. If you want to know about Ennis, just Boots Ennis, just check on the channel. We've got a couple of interviews with Ennis on the channel. He used to be a regular on the channel, so check him out. Agree, exactly. Great show, Ingram. Thank you very much, appreciate that. Ingram, boxing was on such a high. Do you think it will come back strong, or do you think a couple of years will make it reach the heights again? Well, look, for me, there's a few things within boxing that I think the lockdown is probably a good thing, because we're going to forget about a lot of the rubbish that we were having to deal with in boxing. The judging, the refereeing, poor decisions, and a lot of crap within boxing. So I think people can kind of forget about that, maybe moving to this next era. But the trainers are not there in boxing. The great trainers are not there in boxing anymore. You've got a lot more do-it-yourself trainers who don't understand the depth of boxing, and so therefore you're not going to produce the great fighters. You're just not. I don't think you are. I just don't think you're there, because they turn pro, and then a lot of them are still using their amateur style. You think about something. You think of something like Lennox Lewis. Until Lennox Lewis got into Manny Stewart's hands, he was boxing still like an amateur. I mean, who's going to take this next generation forward? The next Olympic fighters, who's going to take them forward? Who are you looking towards? And who were their mentors? Look at all these trainers that are around today you're calling names out of. How long is Freddie Roach going to last? And on a point of trainers, Floyd Mayweather, it's going to be very interesting how he handles being a trainer. Is he going to be able to accept that other fighters are not him? Because we've seen Floyd as a manager, and I'm not quite convinced about how Floyd was working with some of these fighters. I'd like to see how he handles guys with difficult fighters or guys that don't want to listen. It will be interesting because Floyd listened to Roger all the time. He knew what was best for him. It'll be interesting to see whether Floyd can transfer his skills to another fighter and be able to stick with them for the test of time like Roger stuck with Floyd. It will be interesting. So to your question about boxing, will it, the heights again? Well, for the heights, then fights have to be made. Super fights have to be made. And they have to be made soon. Crawford needs to shift. I've always said he needs to shift from top rank to PBC. I've always said that. But, hey, somebody said he doesn't need to do that. I think he does. Keith Thurman, I don't know. He's more talk. I now call him once upon a time Thurman. Now I'm going to call him Keith Cash Out Thurman because, you know, I think he cashed out when he fought Pacquiao, and I think he'll just cash out again. I don't think the guy's got the fire anymore to drive to do what he needs to do. Too many injuries. We'll see. Khan, I think he's done with as well. You've got Crawford. You've got Spence. We need to see what Spence has got left. Because I've seen he seems to be talking quite well now, but I want to see a skill set. Got an interview with Derek James, my good brother Derek James, soon to come on the channel. So we'll get a good live show for you members to be able to get in and talk to Derek James. Who else is there? Boots Ennis, of course. There are a few other guys as well, but don't quote me. I'll come back to you about those with the welterweight division. Sean Porter. The fight I'd like to see again is Sean Porter versus Crawford. That fight needs to be made before Spence. Let's see Crawford fight Porter. Let's even see Crawford fight Thurman. Let's see one of those two fights. Let's see Crawford versus Danny Garcia. Yeah, let's see one of those three fights. Let's see what's going on here. What's the interview coming with Prince Naz? What interview with Prince Naz? There was an interview that I did with Prince Naz years ago. You can check that out when you get a chance. What do you think of O'Hara versus Fowler? Don't let O'Hara hit Fowler on the chin. Still have trainers like Reynoso. Will be again. It's not the name that gets fighters doing what they're doing. Canelo is Canelo, right? If you don't have it within your genes to listen, and you're stubborn, and remember, Ruiz has already been champion of the world. He's tasted the good life. Will he ever have the hunger to come back and train? I mean, I don't know. It takes a lot of dedication to set yourself back up, to go back up that mountain again. So I don't know. I don't know if Ruiz can do it. Can he do it? It's questionable. I don't know. I'm not saying he can't do it. But don't say to me, Reynoso. What does that mean to me? Oh, Reynoso. Well, you damn well didn't know nothing about Reynoso until Canelo started fighting. What did you know about Eddie Reynoso? Eddie Reynoso's name is really known because of Canelo. And Canelo's feats. But Canelo's a dedicated fighter. It's like when you say Mayweather. Well, I know a lot of guys that came out of the Mayweather gym, and a lot of them got knocked out, and they're not very good fighters. But because they came under the Mayweather stable, we all looked up. It's like Eubank. When you talk about Eubank, you go, yeah, Chris. And then you think about the son, you go, yeah, his son's all right, he's okay, but he's not like his father. Do you understand? But you go, Ben, you go, Nigel. Yeah, of course, I know Nigel. And then you got Conor, you go, yeah, Conor's okay, but he's not like his dad. It's even Reynoso. It's like when you say Reynoso, well, yeah, the Canelo's a great fighter because he's dedicated and makes adjustments. But will he have the same effect on Andy Ruiz? And what you're basically saying is, what about Ruiz's ex-trainer? Manny Robles. Are you saying Manny Robles was a bad trainer now? Well, wasn't he? He was a good trainer when Ruiz knocked out Joshua, yeah? But suddenly he's become a bad trainer overnight. No, I can't subscribe to this stuff. The trainer hopping. George Groves hopped from, was Adam Booth to Paddy Fitzpatrick. Then over to, it was Paddy Fitzpatrick over to, what's his name? Shane McGuigan. And he kept blaming the trainers. It was the trainer's fault. It was the trainer's fault. It was the trainer's fault. Oscar De La Hoya, he had Manny Stewart. He had did he have a Burstein, I think it was, and he had didn't he Oscar work with Roach one point, I think. I mean, it's a fighter's responsibilities to be in shape. It's a fighter's responsibility to do the road work. It's a fighter's responsibilities to make sure that they're in optimum shape. So when they come into camp to fight or to prepare for fight, they can focus on the tactical side of things. So you tell me, if you can allow yourself to get out of so much shape and then go and fight Anthony Joshua in that sort of state, that's a mental thing. That's a mental lapse of concentration. That's a self-image thing. How can I allow my body to get into such a state, and I consider myself a professional, to go to Dubai or wherever it was, Saudi Arabia, and make myself look like an idiot like that? After just the fight before that, he said he was doing it for fat people, and he was saying, if you're fat or you're overweight, don't let that be a problem for you. And then the next fight, you go back and you undo sensationally the work you sensationally put together. Do you understand what I'm saying? I can't really, I can't put any stock in a trainer. I need to see Ruiz with Reynoso for 3, 4, 5 fights before I can say, yeah, Reynoso. You can't say Reynoso just because he's training with him. No, it takes at least 3 fights to see a trainer's trademark in a fighter. At least 3 fights. So he's training with him. But does that mean he's putting the work in? You know, where he's training the former heavyweight champion of the world. That's a lot of money. Do you think we will see fights without live audiences? I believe there was a fight yesterday. Somewhere in Thailand or somewhere. Yeah, there was boxing yesterday. What do you think of Breeders versus Dorticus? I think it's a damn good fight. I don't know. I'll have to do a breakdown for that. I'll have to do a breakdown video. Listen, before I go, I want you to give me, in the comment section, a list of things you'd like me to talk about. One of the things I'm going to probably talk about coming up is Anthony Joshua versus Kubrat Pulev. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what approach Anthony Joshua should take going into this fight against Kubrat Pulev. Okay, so we talked about styles and tactics, whether he should be on the back foot, whether he should be on the front foot. So how the styles contrast, and we could talk about that potentially. So if there's any topics you'd like me to talk about, let me know, and then I can do it up. I mean, I've only recently done this video tonight with Bellew because it was think Breeders has more tools. Otto Wallin, who should he fight next? Dave Allen. My boy Justin Jones emailed me yesterday, and he said he wants to fight Dave Allen. I don't know how that fight's going to be made, but yeah. Yeah, maybe I could do a. Maybe what I would really like to do. I had a friend of mine, a guy that I really. This is for old school boxing fans on YouTube. A guy called Big Ragu. Yeah, he used to look at fighters and he used to do prospects and things they do well and things they don't do so well. I was thinking of doing maybe a series like that of fighters and maybe predict whether I think they're going to become world champion or not. That would be interesting. I'd like to do something like that. Dave Allen would be a good shout. He was meant to fight Brown. Yeah. A lot of people were meant to fight Lucas Brown, actually. A lot of people. There was another big fight that was made between Lucas Brown and somebody else. Can't mention their name, but yeah, I heard that was a big fight that was coming up. Similar-ish levels, yeah. Yeah. Look, I'm looking forward to talking to Balanga back on the channel. Big time Biggs on the channel. We've got the lady from Main Events. I don't know if you all remember her. She'll be back on the channel as well. I might get her tonight, possibly. When I can get Uncle Bashir to actually call back, we'll get Bashir on the channel as well. What do you think of the rumours about Luis Ortiz's age? Do you believe it? Yes. Because if you go back and look at my interview with Go with the bald head, black guy, bald head. Oh, Amir Mansour, that was the interview that broke out about Luis Ortiz's age. Nobody talked about Luis Ortiz's age until that Amir Mansour interview. Go back and look at it, check it out. Amir Mansour interview on this channel, BWTN Sports, and check it out. Amir Mansour breaks down how Luis Ortiz's age came about. He mentioned the Olympic team and the age of the people at the Olympic team then, and he said how old he was, and that's how he knew Luis Ortiz was as old as he is. So do check that out as well. Do biographies of world class fighters from the past. Oh, one other thing that would you like to have the grandson of the great Henry Armstrong? Would you like to have questions and answer sessions with Henry Armstrong's grandson? He has got so much footage and so much information. He is such a close brother of my own, and I would love to have him back on the show. He's told me he wants to come back on the show. Would you like to have him back on the show? Because I think it'd be great. Yes, Tavern said it as well. Yes. Yeah, yes. So would you like that? I keep saying Sugar Ray Robinson. Henry Armstrong's grandson, having him in the room, we could talk about the stuff of legendary fighters. He's the only fighter in history to have world titles at 3 different weights. I think it's featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight, something like that. It's along the lines. We had 3 world championships. I think he was undisputed in all three divisions, something like that for Henry Armstrong. Absolutely incredible. Okay, right. Would be an interesting show. We'll get him on the show. There's a lot of people that want to come on. It's just a matter of the time, and so much other things are going on behind closed doors. As those who follow me on Facebook or may follow me on Instagram would know. So yeah, just stay tuned. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, share the video for us, give us your support. I gotta tell you, it's things have to change and things have to move forward. This format that we are at the moment, things have to change. It was great. Bellew TV was great. Then we had BWTN Sports is great. And I know it's frustrating for some of you all out there with the gaming as well. But you have to show, and especially in this time, you need to show some, be able to just show a little difference in what you do. So yeah, there are some other things I might do as well. I might do some coaching videos. I might do a few boxing coaching videos, and I might do some cricket coaching videos as well. I've got my camera out, so I might do some stuff for that as well. All right, so bear with me. We're going to get it right, and by the end of the year, fingers crossed, we'll get some new faces on BWTM, and we can take it to that next level. Got to start recruitment and all the rest of it, so it's a lot of work, but it'll be fun. Right, thank you all so much. This has been BWTM Sports and Gaming, and hey, why not join us when we do these live football shows? Yes, it is. It has been a while, and I'm sorry. I probably won't keep it. I won't stay away for as long next time round. But come in and have a chat. All right, Ruben, Matt. I've got to give a shout out to 2 people before I go. Big shout out to my man Ruben Guerrero. Listen, Ruben, Danny, whatever your damn name is, you've stood and you've watched all those gaming videos with me, and I gotta say thank you so much. Much love to you. And the other man I got to give a massive shout out to is my friend Leif Gramerson. Let me see you. This man is an absolute godsend. He goes in and he does the timestamps in all the big videos, the big interviews. He does timestamps. So there's a lot of big interviews that people may not be aware of that I did, like interviews with former Destiny's Child manager. There's stuff like that. Interview with Rahman Ali. There's that. There's a whole load of gems. When I first met Terence Crawford, 2 interviews with Terence Crawford predicting what he would do with Amir Khan. When I first met Keith Thurman, there's interviews with that as well. There's a whole load of interviews that are in the BWTM, the other channel, Bayloric Worldwide TV, BWTM Online. So if you want to look at old boxing interviews, with some of your big names. Check them out. On this channel, you've got the Usyk interview as well. Just before he fought for the WBO title. There's loads of interviews there with names that are either coming to the forefront. Even that night that I did where I interviewed Evander Holyfield and I interviewed all his camp that night, and all those fighters now are either signed with Golden Boy or Top Rank now or main events. So they're all making their big push in 2020. So check that out as well. Right. Thank you all so much. Much love to you all again. And whereas some of you out there may find it boring that I don't want to get involved in debates, not interested, and never have been interested, and never will be interested. And no matter what you say and what you might stir up, I'm not interested and I never will be interested. And, you know, I know who you are, and you will get blocked as soon as I'm off this show. So, peace out to you all. Much love, and I'll see you soon. This indeed has been BWTM Sports Gaming. Much love. Take care.